You arrive at the airport, and the scene is one of carefully constructed efficiency. You see the clean lines, the smooth floors, the massive humming structure of the terminal. It all seems like an ordered, seamless system. You see the endless security maze, the snaking velvet ropes, the uniformed agents. From the outside, it looks like a system designed entirely for your predictable flow from check-in to gate. But here is the chilling reality that veteran travelers and industry insiders understand. Behind the sterile walls of the TSA checkpoint is a rulebook, a code of conduct, and a series of operational exceptions that only the people wearing the uniform know. The truth is, airlines and airports are actively counting on you, the average passenger, to stay completely clueless. They rely on your uncertainty, your stress, and your natural desire to be compliant and not cause a scene. Why? Because a confused, rushed traveler is a predictable traveler, one who won't ask questions, won't claim their rights, and won't slow down the assembly line. The secrets I'm about to share with you today are not just minor inconveniences. They are keys to unlocking massive savings in time, money, and your overall sanity. These aren't just hacks. They are documented procedures and unwritten operational norms that are rarely, if ever, disclosed to the public. I'm not just going to scratch the surface. I'm pulling back the curtain on the entire security system. I'm dropping 18 unwritten TSA rules that will completely rewire how you approach your next journey. Think of this as your personalized, confidential briefing. Some of these strategies will help you cut security lines faster than a pilot rushing to the cockpit. Others will act as an invisible shield, protecting your most valuable possessions from damage or loss. And perhaps most satisfyingly, some will unlock premium travel perks you previously thought were reserved only for VIPs, frequent flyers, or those who paid for expensive programs. If you've ever found yourself watching a TSA agent interact with another traveler, or even with a colleague, and thought, they know something I don't, you were absolutely right. The difference between a smooth trip and a nightmare often comes down to one single word or one single confident action. And if your luggage has ever mysteriously vanished, only to appear days later, or worse, damaged, this deep dive explains the hidden liabilities and protocols that protect your property. So for the sake of your next trip and everyone that follows, buckle up, because once you are armed with this insider knowledge, once you understand the levers of power within the checkpoint, you'll never look at airport security the same way again. The system will stop being a confusing maze and start becoming a predictable puzzle you are equipped to solve. And if your goal is to keep winning the travel game, to always be smarter than the airlines and airports who thrive on traveler ignorance, do me a favor right now. Smash that subscribe button and join the BoardiFly community. We exist to keep you one powerful step ahead on every single trip. All right, let's stop talking about the rules and start using the ultimate TSA cheat code. Secret 1, the emergency priority lane, the time saver. You're standing in the main security line. It snakes for 100 yards. Next to you, often obscured by a simple rope or stanchion, you see an empty lane, the one marked Crew Only or TSA PreCheck. But here's the true unadvertised secret. Most major airports maintain an unadvertised overflow or emergency lane. This lane is not just for pre-check, staff, or military personnel. It's an operational release valve for the entire system. TSA doesn't broadcast its existence because the moment they do, they'd have a mob of desperate passengers clogging it instantly. The key to bypassing the line is to give the agent a federally mandated reason to push you through. Walk to the nearest supervising TSA officer, make confident eye contact, which signals you know the protocol, and say this precise phrase. "Excuse me, my flight board's in under 30 minutes. Is there a priority or alternate lane I can use?" In most circumstances, 9 times out of 10, they will discreetly wave you into the empty lane or expedite your screening in the current lane. Why? Because TSA's overarching operational priority is the smooth flow of the entire airport. It's far easier for them to quickly push you through security than to deal with the downstream consequences of a delayed passenger, the paperwork, the irate airline, and the gate agent scramble. You are leveraging their own efficiency mandate against them. The phrase works even if your boarding time is further out. To cement your authority and confidence, Pull up your airline app on your phone, point to the official boarding time as proof, even if you're not actually cutting it close, and state the phrase confidently. Confidence, not panic, is the currency that gets you through. Secret 2. The liquids loophole, the medical exemption. The infamous 311 rule, liquids under 3.4 ounces, 100 milliliters in a single quart-sized bag, is burned into every traveler's brain. But here is the massive, legally binding exemption the TSA is required to honor, but rarely promotes. All medical and baby care items are exempt from the 311 rule. This isn't a suggestion, it's a policy under the Americans with Disabilities Act, ADA, and similar regulatory mandates. This means baby formula, breast milk, liquid prescription medication, even large gel-based ice packs necessary for temperature control, all can exceed the normal 3.4-ounce limit. The hack, leveraging the law. When you place your bags on the belt, simply state to the nearest agent, "I have medically necessary liquids for inspection." This specific phrasing is important. They are legally required to screen these items separately using specialized testing, and they absolutely cannot confiscate them simply because they are oversized. Bonus tip for food items. Want to travel with a large container of homemade soup, a smoothie, or specific dietary liquid supplements? Label it for dietary medical needs. While TSA may need to subject it to additional testing, they cannot legally deny you the transport of medically or dietarily required liquids. This is the ultimate quiet way to bypass the $12 airport smoothie. Secret 3. Your luggage is insured, the liability clause. Most travelers resign themselves to a state of quiet despair when they see their checked luggage emerge mangled, ripped, or missing a wheel. They eat the cost, call it bad luck, and assume the airline is responsible. Here is the stunning reality. If the TSA damages your checked luggage during its mandated screening process, they, not the airline, are liable for the cost of repair or full replacement. They remain silent on this liability because every passenger who files a claim costs them time, administrative overhead, and money. The process for a successful claim. Photo proof is everything. The moment you pack, take clear, dated photos of your bag before you check it. This documents its pre-screening condition. File with the source. If damaged, you must file a claim directly with the TSA, not the airline, using their online form. You have a window of 180 days, but filing immediately is always best. The power phrase for maximum impact. When you file, be sure to use the term chain of custody. This sophisticated phrasing signals that you know exactly when your bag left the airline's hands and was placed squarely in the TSA's control, instantly strengthening your claim and placing them on the defensive. Secret 4. Keep your shoes on. The age and status exemption. We have been collectively conditioned to shuffle through security barefoot or in thin socks, performing the awkward balancing act of pants, keys, and rolling bags. But you are not obligated to do this, provided you meet certain criteria. TSA quietly allows 3 distinct groups to keep their shoes on: seniors over 75, children under 12, and anyone with official TSA PreCheck status. This policy is not prominently advertised because a public announcement would instantly lead to endless arguments and slower lines. The action to take: if you are traveling with family members who qualify, skip the messy process. Simply state with confident authority to the agent managing the flow. Per TSA policy, the children/senior is leaving their shoes on. They will typically acquiesce immediately, saving valuable time and avoiding that moment of public vulnerability. Secret 5. Say no to the body scanner. The full-body AIT, advanced imaging technology, scanner has become the norm. But here is the undeniable fact of federal procedure. The full-body scanner is entirely optional. It is your absolute right to request an alternative manual pat-down screening. Why this matters to the savvy traveler? Privacy and medical concerns. Many travelers opt out for legitimate privacy reasons or due to concerns over health effects, e.g., radiation exposure, though minimal. The killer hack. When lines are massive and the scanners are experiencing technical or procedural delays, which happens frequently, the manual pat-down often moves faster. You can strategically use the opt-out right to bypass a bottleneck. The power phrase simply state clearly and without hesitation, I opt out of the scanner. Bonus tip for implants. If you have medical implants, pacemakers, joint replacements, pumps, etc., always opt out. This preemptive action saves the scanner from alarming, eliminates the awkward back and forth about your medical status, and significantly speeds up the eventual screening process. Secret 6. The TSA Lost and Found goldmine. That expensive laptop, designer watch, or even a charging cube you forgot in the plastic bin. It didn't magically vanish into thin air. It is overwhelmingly likely sitting securely in a locked, designated TSA Lost and Found office within the airport facility. The reason most passengers never recover their items is simple. They assume it's a lost cause and fail to follow up. TSA doesn't aggressively publicize this recovery mechanism because managing lost and found claims requires significant manpower. Eventually, if unclaimed, these items are inventoried and publicly auctioned. The strategy for recovery: immediately after realizing the loss, do not contact the airline. Search specifically for TSA Lost and Found, followed by your airport code. Every major airport has a direct phone line. Your best chance of recovery is calling within the first 24 hours before the item is officially cataloged and moved into storage. Secret 7. The Do Not Detain list. Everyone knows about the infamous no-fly list. But here is the positive flip side of the database. TSA maintains an unpublicized list of travelers flagged for avoiding extra, secondary screening. This list often includes diplomats, certain government officials, and, significantly, high-frequency travelers who have successfully appealed their repeated selection for extra scrutiny. The proactive solution: if you are consistently targeted for secondary screening, the extra swab, the detailed bag check, you can proactively request to be cleared through the DHS Traveler Redress Inquiry Program, TRIP. This involves submitting an online request to the Department of Homeland Security. If your case is approved, you are quietly added to the Do Not Detain or low-risk category. This is the ultimate long-term hack for removing the target from your back. Secret 8. Free luggage locks. You see shelves of TSA-approved locks at every store. Here is the insider truth: you don't really need to buy them. If a TSA agent is required to cut your non-TSA-approved lock during a random, mandated inspection, they are obligated by their own procedures to provide you with a free replacement upon request. The claim process. If you arrive at baggage claim and see your lock has been cut or replaced with a TSA-issued tag, immediately proceed to the nearest TSA desk, often near baggage claim, and state the following: my lock was cut during inspection. May I get a replacement, please? They typically keep a small supply of standard TSA-approved locks for this exact purpose. The vast majority of travelers never ask, allowing the TSA to save on inventory costs. Secret 9. The TSA Priority Hotline. Yes, a general complaint hotline exists, but that is not the secret. The real power lies in the TSA Cares line, 1-855-787-2227. While primarily established to assist travelers with disabilities, medical conditions, or special needs. Here is the hack. Using this dedicated line and planning ahead can often get you a designated escort officer to meet you and guide you through the entire security process. Imagine skipping the confusion, the self-consciousness of struggling with bags, and the long wait. Instead, you have a knowledgeable guide who facilitates your entire journey through the checkpoint. It's the closest thing you can get to a personal, complimentary TSA concierge, simply by framing your needs correctly. Secret 10. The no ID, no problem rule. The panic sets in. You're at the airport, you've checked your wallet, and your driver's license or passport is nowhere to be found. Don't immediately assume the trip is over and accept a change fee from your airline. TSA has a required, established process for verifying the identity of a traveler without physical identification. The line to use: Calmly approach the security podium and state, "I need to complete the TSA identity verification process." They will then escort you to a secondary screening area where they will ask you a series of personal verification questions sourced from government and commercial databases, old addresses, past cars, mortgage details, etc. While it adds 10 to 15 minutes, it prevents a missed flight. The airline would much prefer you panic and pay their fees. The TSA, however, will still let you fly if you successfully complete the verification. Secret 11. Pack your luggage inside out. The psychology hack. This is a subtle but powerful psychological trick that leverages the training of the TSA agent. Pack your checked bags so that clothes, especially large items like jackets or sweaters, face outward, creating neat, visible, layered surfaces. The insider psychology: TSA agents are trained to be efficient and to look for anomalies. A bag that looks like a chaotic jumble of clothes immediately triggers a flag for a manual check because it suggests something is being deliberately hidden. A bag that is neatly organized with clear layers and items facing outward looks harmless and cooperative. The agent is much less likely to pull everything out if the bag appears well-ordered and presents no immediate suspicious shapes. Messy bags scream, "Search me." Organized bags signal, "Nothing to see here." Secret 12. TSA will mail your banned items. You get to the security belt and realize you forgot to take that pocket knife out of your laptop bag or that oversized container of expensive lotion. The normal outcome is confiscation. However, many major airports participate in a TSA property return program. Instead of surrendering the item, simply ask about this program. For a small, reasonable mailing fee, usually around $10 to $20, the TSA will inventory the item and send it directly back to your home address. You just have to ask for the option. Most travelers panic and hand over valuable items, completely unaware this retrieval service exists. Secret 13. The duty-free seal trick. That expensive bottle of liquor or perfume you bought at the international duty-free shop is clearly over the 3.4-ounce limit. How does it get past security? It's a key exception. It must be in a tamper-evident duty-free bag, STEB, with the seal completely intact. The critical catch: if you are connecting flights and need to recheck bags in a different country, or even within the US after an international arrival, you will go through security again. You must not break the seal on that bag. The moment the seal is broken, the entire exemption is nullified and the item will be confiscated at the next checkpoint. Secret 14. Get PreCheck for free. This is a delightful, sneaky, and totally unexpected perk. Sometimes airlines, in coordination with the TSA, will randomly assign PreCheck screening privileges to regular passengers who have not enrolled in the program. This is done as part of an ongoing test group or risk assessment model. The action: always check your boarding pass. If it has the coveted TSA PRE indicator, you get the fast lane, the no shoes, no belt experience with zero enrollment cost. Tip for families: if you are traveling with children under the age of 12 on the same reservation and you get a random PreCheck selection, they automatically get the PreCheck benefit with you. Secret 15. The unpublished family lane, the child-friendly shortcut. Traveling with children under 12? Many major airports operate a separate, designated family screening lane. This lane is often slower and allows for more time to deal with car seats, strollers, and the general chaos of traveling with young kids. They do not widely promote it because they do not want non-qualifying adults attempting to sneak in. The question: simply ask the agent directing the flow, "Where is the family screening lane?" By using the specific term, you identify yourself as an informed passenger, and the agent will typically direct you to the less congested, more accommodating checkpoint. Secret 16. Say the magic words, "Can I speak to a supervisor?" If you are facing what feels like unfair treatment, excessive screening, or confusion over a confiscated item, you have the immediate right to escalate the situation. TSA supervisors have wide discretionary authority to override the decisions and actions of frontline officers. The power move: simply state, Can I speak to a supervisor? Most travelers freeze up or become defensive, which is precisely what the TSA counts on. By asking for a supervisor, you show you know the chain of command and are prepared to exercise your rights. Important. Do not be rude, be firm, confident, and articulate your issue clearly. Secret 17. TSA can hold your flight. This is the most shocking and admittedly the rarest of the secrets, but it is documented protocol. If you are stuck in an unprecedented line and are absolutely certain you are minutes away from missing your flight, TSA officers can, and occasionally will, call your airline gate to notify them and ask them to hold the boarding process. The context. This is usually reserved for extreme circumstances, for example, a massive system failure. However, if you are polite, calm, and clearly explain the urgency, the officer has the discretion to intervene. The phrase to trigger action, "Could you please notify my gate that I'm delayed at security?" This professional phrasing acknowledges their power and solicits their help, rather than demanding it. Secret 18. The quiet exit strategy, the final right. Here is the ultimate final secret. If you accidentally bring a banned item, a large bottle of water, a forgotten tool, or a small can of shaving cream, you are not legally required to surrender it for confiscation. Your option, TSA must give you the choice to exit the security checkpoint, deal with the item, and re-enter. This means you can temporarily leave the line, store the item in your car, mail it to yourself at the airport post office, or hand it off to a friend waiting outside. Do not panic and surrender valuable items. Know your right to the quiet exit strategy. Keep these 6 lines memorized, locked and loaded in your travel toolkit. Say them calmly, clearly, and with absolute non-aggressive confidence to signal you are an informed traveler. For the fast lane, is there a priority or alternate lane I can use? For oversized liquids, I have medically necessary liquids for inspection. For privacy speed, I opt out of the scanner. For lost ID, I need to complete the TSA identity verification process. For disputes, can I speak to a supervisor? For missed flights, could you please notify my gate that I'm delayed at security? Before you leave a document, take photos of your luggage, front, back, and sides. Organize, pack liquids and electronics neatly. Tidy luggage is less likely to be manually searched. Know your rights. Save the TSA Cares phone number 1-855-787-2227. At the airport, execution is key. Check your boarding pass for a surprise pre-check. Ask for family or alternate lanes if you qualify. Use your power phrases when necessary. The golden rule, stay calm, confident, and polite. Remember that TSA operates under a very specific set of federal regulations. And when you know those regulations better than the average passenger, you have far more rights and leverage than you think you do. There they are, 18 TSA secrets that collectively form your most powerful travel weapon. These are the rules that allow you to skip lines, protect your property, bypass annoying regulations, and manage the system on your terms. They are the difference between a stressful sprint through the airport and a calm, confident stroll. Now I want to hear from you directly. Which of these 18 felt like the biggest, most satisfying cheat code? Was it the immediate relief of using the hidden priority lane? The revelation that you can opt out of the body scanner? Or perhaps the shocking fact that TSA can actually intervene to hold your flight? Drop your answer in the comments right now. I am personally invested in reading every single one and seeing which secret gives you the most confidence for your next trip. And if you want to keep traveling smarter, faster, and more confidently than 99% of passengers, make sure you subscribe to BoardiFly. Every single week, I will continue to drop more of the essential insider tips that the airlines and airports desperately wish you never found out. Because when you know the secrets, you hold the power. Safe travels, and I'll see you in the next video.